make a move and the bunny gets it.
I said, put the bunny back in the box. Why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box?
Our brethren are already in the field. Why stand we here idle? What is it the gentlemen wish? What would they have? Is life so dear, or peace so sweet? As to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. Of course, others. But as for me, give me liberty, or give me death.
It's showtime.
Psychically, I'm very well endowed.
I want to know what you're thinking. There are some things you can't hide. I want to know what you're feeling. Tell me what's on your mind.
Hey there, this is Cooper with Telepathic Bunny Comics. Welcome to the Monday call-in show. You are live with the bunny. But there is one caveat. I had to create this to let people know. Okay. That being said, there are certain people that are not going to ever get on this show, no matter how many times they trash talk me in the chat. And there are some chats that I am not going to bring up onto the screen. And I'm unapologetic about that. If you have a good point, if it's on topic, even if I disagree with it, I'll put it on the screen. But if you're off topic and talking trash, or somebody that's annoying me, I probably won't bring it up on the screen, and I don't apologize for that. If you're okay with that, then welcome. Mr. Wolf Lear says, what up, Coop? What's up, Wolf Lear? What's up, dude? John A. Douglas is listening in at work. I hope I'm being entertaining. We'll find out. Now, today's topic is about... now, we know that the mainstream and like media and the press apparatus and I just said the media, but I'm talking about like governmental apparatuses and media and everybody seems to be in cahoots with one another, and so you know basically if Disney says something, then the people over here are going to back it up and they're going to double down and they're going to support it. We've seen this recently with the Doctor Who stuff, and how it's almost like a time warp back to 2016 because they have doubled down and doubled down and doubled down, and they've been like attacking the fans nonstop, and then the media comes in and attacks fans nonstop, and then like the visual media, like the news, nightly news, or the BBC's news people have been attacking media or attacking fans, and it seems like all like in cahoots. They're all like in the same barrel of monkeys, and it's like what? Wait a second. So what happens if you don't happen to believe or accept or agree with the California fornication of like the pop culture, basically? So what if you don't agree with that? What if you don't have the morality of a Portland barista, or the point of view of somebody that just came out of a gender studies class in deepest, darkest wherever they hold those classes. Anyway, but at the same time, so what does that leave us that don't agree, that don't comply, that are not okay with the narrative, or that are insisting that the emperor has no clothes, or that the emperor just soiled himself on the front lawn of the West Wing. Uh, you know, yeah, just for instance, not being specific, just for instance. But anyway, so what happens to us? Those of us who just don't happen to like, you know, we don't happen to go along with the sheep through the pen into the slaughterhouse. We're not really happy. We don't follow that Judas goat. We do our own thing. So, do we have a chance? Do we have a shot at it? Okay, that's the premise for the show today. That being said, there's a surprise waited for me today in my mailbox. It's this puppy right here. Starcross Team Up, Thrash Band Starstruck. And this was done by a combination of Luke Stone Studios and Starcross Comics. It was put out by Starcross Comics. But it basically is utilizing Luke Stone. Luke Stone used to be part of Starcross Comics, and he made a lot of friends over there that are still friends over there now that he's with Arrow. And two of the characters kind of team up, and they're kind of like similar. They're the powerhouse of the respective universes. Trash Band being the powerhouse of the hybrid universe, and Starstruck being the basically the powerhouse of the comics over there, Starcross. They do a lot of cross pollination. But is it good? That's always the question. Well, now there are comics that that are accessible to everybody. You don't need to have any backstory. Don't need to know any other characters. Don't need to be familiar with the universe. And then there are comics that are basically like just presupposing that you are familiar with the universe. Let's have fun. And this is of the latter persuasion. I would call the Lions versus the no, wait, it's the Dwarves versus Lions that the Crack Pack did. I got it. I got the box. I got the Lion box. And to be honest, that comic completely befuddled me because I didn't know all the inside information, and there's a lot of inside information that you had to know to enjoy it. And I thought I kind of knew enough to enjoy it, but I really didn't. But this right here is not guilty of that. This right here, even if you're not familiar with these two characters, you can enjoy them. You know, enjoy the comic. And this is writer was Luke Stone. The layouts was Brian Dawson, and but the artist was Joe Spicer. And Joe Spicer is kind of like editor in chief over the Starcross. And Joe Spicer's got a very interesting interesting art style. I'm not used to seeing Trash Man drawn by other people besides Luke Stone, so this was interesting. Trash happens to be a favorite of mine, happens to be a favorite of a lot of people, and it's just really interesting seeing a different take on the big guy, and this was like a real fun time. It was a real fun comic. I enjoyed it a lot. I don't think it's available anymore. It might be on Starcross. Might be over on starcross.com. I'm not sure. I should have looked that up. But it's got some really great art in it. It's got some really nice stuff. And let me get my favorite line in here. My favorite line. Where are we at? Okay. All right. This guy says, I think you will find your plan has a couple of big holes in it. And then the Trash comes in and says, and yeah, we are those big holes. And he says, wait, that didn't sound right. Just for that joke alone, it's a good one. Yeah, this comic I think is available at Starcross. But it was a Funny Don't Fun My comic, and it's just a fun, enjoyable time. It's just kind of an ephemeral one shot with these two characters, crossover characters. It reminds me of Marvel Team Up. Marvel Team Ups used to be so fun. It's because they would take characters that really you wouldn't expect to have anything to do with one another, and it's like they challenged themselves, and you would find it's some really cool pairings that you didn't know should exist in the world. I think like Thing or Spider-Man, just some really odd pairings that you wouldn't expect. And it's real fun. They did the same thing in DC. DC also had Spotlight, I think, which did the same thing. Wookie, what's up, Wookie? Welcome to the show. Anyway, so back to the premise, okay? Now, there is a controversy going on right now about an individual who lived in mid 1500s in Japan that was called by the Japanese Yasuke. Nobody knows his real name. It's because it's not listed as his real name. And this individual was a footnote in a history that was written, I think, in 1960s, I think. It was like a footnote, and that guy had like a citation of documents or whatever, historical documents from Japan, and talked about a sword bearer who happened to be of African descent. Now, that doesn't say, it doesn't ever specify his skin color. It just says that the man was a sword bearer for one of the daimos. I hope I don't say it right. Daimos, shoguns in Japan. Now, so from that little minor footnote, they've developed this whole entire mythology around this character, or this man, who may or may not exist. and they call him a samurai. Okay, now the issue that has come up is what the thing that I find interesting is when I typed in Black Samurai, I saw all these articles. I mean, like Time Magazine and people like that, and they're all pushing this narrative that this was a Black Samurai. Okay, now why this is suddenly in the news is because Ubisoft coming out with Assassin's Creed, the latest Assassin's Creed, over who knows how many tens of millions production this thing that went into this thing, and years of production. And they came out with a first character in a Japanese narrative in Assassin's Creed history, and the samurai that they use is a Black Samurai. And so people were like, "What? Excuse me?" and so the narrative is, why does it matter? Okay, now I don't usually check on Reddit. Okay, Reddit's usually an armpit. It's basically a CIA, basically run apparatus, but there's still some times over there where you'll find something useful. And well, I saw this right here, and there's a comment in here I wanted to highlight. Make sure. Okay, this is a comment I wanted to highlight here. There's several of these comments. This one right here from Super Hobo 20. It says, Asian men have faced widespread erasure in Western media, and wanting for them to finally be represented in their culture is not an invalid critique. The historical accuracy of Yasuke is not relevant, as this is a series with the fantasy elements. That is correct. But Asian men being sidelined once again is a problem. If Ubisoft wants the representation in their games, yet chooses which demographic gets more representation than the other. Okay. Now, there's another comment down here I wanted to highlight right quick. Okay. This is from Rox Washed Socks. Or is it Fox Washed Socks? I think it's Fox Washed Socks. Okay. All right. In all of this, Asian voices are predictably ignored. I understand a lot of you think we're invisible. What else is new? But we shit on this exceptional foreigner in a native land, usually Japan, Asia, pretty regularly too. Stuff like Nio or Shogun, TLS, you just ignore it because you DAF, DGAF. I get for a certain subset of non-Asian weebs, this is cool. And I'm excited for Neo, but I also know that Western media love to center stories around Asian women, big side-eye, but that's another conversation. And forget Asian men exist other than to be side characters as opposed to being co-heroes in their own stories. Yeah. This one here is Consway 500. In my opinion, it's because fans have asked for years about a samurai gang, and they chose the most obscure and uncommon person to be represented as a samurai. One in which, on one hand, it makes sense, but Yasuke is a historical character with barely any documented evidence about him, which gives him a blank slate. On the other hand, it could be seen as disrespectful to Japanese people to misrepresent a historical person. Okay. One more comment, and we'll be done here, but I want to get this comment in. Okay, this is important. This is from Winnie Dex. If they would make Assassin's Creed Kenya, I would prefer a black guy to be the main character over an Asian. It's not racist. It's just more immersive and makes sense. Also, I like that every Assassin's Creed main character wasn't based in reality and more or less a random person that could have lived at that time. And no one complained about Bassam being Middle Eastern or Connor being Native American because it just makes sense in the game setting. But Ubisoft picking the one black guy from Japanese hero feels like history feels like a justification to include a black protagonist, and many players have noticed and feel that it doesn't fit. It would be much more prefer two Japanese main protagonists than Ubisoft making another Assassin's Creed where the black protagonist fits more. I have nothing against a different character other than generic white male. Okay, as long as they're not white male, I don't have any problem. But I would love to see more diverse and interesting characters as long as their appearance makes sense and doesn't feel constructed for the sake of diversity. And, all right. But having Yasuke as a character, side character, would be cool, though. Okay. Now, anyway, so what does this matter? All right. Does Yasuke exist or doesn't he exist? There's not very much information on it. Oh, hold on a second. DEI, woohoo! Yep, there you go. But does this guy exist or doesn't he exist? It's not the point. Okay, the point of it is they've been advertising this game as Assassin's Creed's going samurai. We're going to be samurai. We're going to cover the samurai culture. And so the Japanese people are like, oh, we're awesome. We don't really get many representations of samurai culture, that are accurate, period accurate, which is what the Assassin's Creed people or Ubisoft was pushing. It's like, oh, this is going to be accurate. We're really doubling down, right? And okay, well, and then when they come out, it's like, oh, you're playing as a black samurai, the one black samurai mentioned in all the historical records, or black samurai. Okay, he's not mentioned as a samurai, which is another problem. Okay, but the one guy that could possibly be a black samurai, maybe not. That's the guy that we're going to use as the main character for this. That's supposed to be based on samurai culture. It's supposed to be period accurate. And it's a bait and switch. It's basically a bait and switch. What else is new? But that's what people are outraged about. It's not like Yasuke, can't be the lead character or can be part of it. He was a sword bearer. According to the historical documents they're using, he was a sword bearer, which is like really honored, which is highly big, huge honor for some, especially a Gaijin or offlander. Gaijin's not particularly for white people. It's anybody that comes from outside, anybody that's not native to Japan. Okay, Gaijin would be used for Koreans, be used for Chinese. They just did not like anybody from outside. And so for this guy, if he did indeed exist, and he was indeed a sword bearer, which is what it said he was, then that was a incredible honor, and that he would have to be a hell of a guy to beat to make it through Japanese racism and to become a right-hand man. But the thing about it is unlike modern culture where everybody can be anything that they want, this was feudal Japan. And in feudal Japan, there were pathways that were not open to certain people. Okay? A peasant couldn't be a samurai. Even with the training, a peasant couldn't be a samurai. That's why the ninja rose up. Ninjas were basically the peasants' revolt against the samurai. That's where the ninjas came from. And because the samurai were so heavily armed and so well trained, ninjas basically learned to attack at night, sneak attack, use, overwhelming numbers on one person. And the ninja were like, they're basically cheating because they didn't have the training, they didn't have the weaponry. And so they basically, it was a peasant revolt, essentially was what ninjutsu was. Now, are you going to tell me that somebody who came from outside and supposedly came in with the Jesuits, Portuguese Jesuits that were trading in Japan, that supposedly this guy, completely from outside, could become something that native Japanese couldn't become in feudal Japan. Insular society that absolutely had no contact with the outside world except to kill them. We're not talking about a society that's like anybody can be anything. Anybody can be anything, you know. That's not how the rest of the world works. You know, women in Arab countries are not going to be able to get education and become lawyers in a lot of these Arab countries. That's a pathway. It's not open to them because of the culture. And so, and the women in Afghanistan found that out the hard way when America withdrew and left them to their own devices. But the bottom line, though, is it's a different culture, entirely different culture. So to say that the representative of this culture is going to be the one exception to the rule that may or may not have become a samurai, which is supposedly, according to everything we know about feudal Japan, would have been impossible. So, hold on. Courtney, what's up, Courtney? Hello. Ninja rap. Well, thank you for your participation. Anyway, Shinobi. All right. All right. So basically, yeah. Hold on a second. Man, if these people would be willing to rewrite history of a video game, you got to really wonder what else they lie about. Probably not elections or medical recommendations, though, right? Gonna get me in trouble. Yeah, he only says this crap. When he's off my. Well, actually, no. If he's on the panel, he says it. But anyway, he wouldn't say it on his channel, but he'll say it on mine. But anyway, it is what it is. All right, but the bottom line, though. The bottom line is if you're going to promise representation of feudal Japanese, and you're promising its historical accuracy, this is a total bait and switch. Entirely. Hold on. Hell, I figured I finished my coffee with Motley Crue. Hey, RJ, enjoy your coffee, dude. Now I've got a video that's pinned to the chat. And this is from Cider Hype, who does the channel for Bounding into Comics, and he did some really good work on this one, and he really sums it up. But the question is, this is what intrigues me about this, though. Oh, the Shogunate YouTube channel seems to think that Yasuke was real and could have been a samurai. Well, that's the thing, though. Is if you take historical, you have to take things in context. And in context, him being a sword bearer was awesome, because that's what the historical record calls him, a sword bearer. If he was a sword bearer, then that meant that he had reached about the highest level that you could reach for a non-Japanese person in Japan, feudal Japan. But there were certain pathways in feudal Japan that were not open to outsiders. You want to call it racism? Go ahead, call it racism. If you know anything about Asian cultures, they're racist to people that are like 2 miles down the road from them. Okay, and it's a very, very, very particular culture. Okay, we all like put people into like one big mixed bag. It's like we Asians, Caucasians, black people, Hispanics. But then you got Hispanics, and it's like, hey, so you're this Guatemalan over here is the same as this Mexican, and they'd be like, no, man, no, they'd be ready to cut your throat. Okay, but that's what we do. That's part of this racial politics is what makes it so stupid. Is you pour all these cultures into one like category, and then you're like, well, that's true of you because you're from that category. And the problem is, it's like, calling us all Southerners, and then you're like, oh, well, those Tennessee boys are the same as the North Carolinians, and the North Carolinians are like, nuh-uh, don't call us don't put us in the same basket as those Tennessee hillbillies. Are you kidding me? All right. Anyway, he was involved with the Oda clan apparently. Well, one point folk of lower birth could become samurai, I think. Well, at this point, you'd have to show me the historical I'm unwilling to have my mind changed, but the understanding that I had was that was a pathway that's not open to outsiders. Okay. Now, but the interesting thing, and if you want to see more about that controversy, the video that's pinned to the chat has a really good reporting on it. Now, but the one thing that was really interesting I didn't know was he showed the Ubisoft photo of the crew that worked on this game. And it's almost entirely female, except little pockets of nerd males here and there. But when you blow it up past this blue-haired girl is the chairman and CEO of Sweet Baby Inc. Yeah, Sweet Baby Inc. And so evidently she was included in the team that was supposedly worked on this game. And so once again, it's like, all roads lead to Rome. All roads seem to lead to DEI and ASG. Once again, what's up, Wyatt? Good to see you, man. But so whether or not Yasuke exists or not is not really the point here. The point is when you see the one second. In 1,000 years, Earth became galactic Soviet Union. Humans are forced to live in simplistic racial categories. Right, exactly. Which is what they're trying to do. Because they're trying to make a world without borders. And the only way to make a world without borders is to remove individual cultural differences. Hold on a second. Fortunately, the new independent resistance fights them, right? Oda Nobunaga was the first lord to employ muskets against the Sonata cavalry. I'm an expert. I play video games. Check out Call Sign Orion and FMC. All right, we'll do. Now, I think what you're talking about is way later in history. Shameless hit and run there. Yeah, I got it. Sorry, Takata Cavalry. Well, the part of history you're talking about, I think you're talking about the last samurai era, which is way later. Okay, these rats have grubby, greasy fingers all in DEI games. Imagine that sarcasm. I'm gonna mow the lawn now. All right, later. All right, enjoy, RJ. Thanks for the dropping into my chat and pushing your book and then taking off on me, but that's fine. That's fine. I won't, not offended at all. Anyway, I'm joking. But but think about it. It's this: when you see the effort that is being put forth to carry water for Ubisoft and this game, there's a lot of interesting artifacts that have arisen that I haven't seen before. And they're going back and they're like retconning their own like content on supposed straight news sites. Wikipedia, they're altering that, of course. But anytime somebody brings up something that says, well, this person said this and that disproves Ubisoft's protest stations. And those people are like going to these websites and saying, we need you to change this. And they're doing it. What's up, Gobster? What's up, dude? Audio Suka was absent from Kessin 2 is about Nobunaga's rise to power. Shocking. LOL. All right. Just pop it in for a few. Hey, Gabi. But we're not, but, and the same thing's happening with Gabi. Gabi just came in the wrong time, but the same just happened with the Doctor Who. I'm seeing people, that are changing like articles that they've written earlier that have been brought up by fans, to say, well, you said this earlier and now you're doing this. And anytime, and some of those articles were like getting taken down or going defunct or getting removed altogether or being altered. And that's relatively new. Doctor Who. Damn it, all that. I'm sorry, Cobster. You came in right as I was about to hit it. They will fail. It's all incredible sanitized content, liberal mom bearing crap, fantasize about black men and romance in novel romantic ways. All the tales are there. Well, considering that most of the women, or most of the crew that made this game were women, I think it's an accurate thing. Hello, Gabi Wookie, currently over X Twitter watching. All right, no problem. Orwell in reality, change the history books to meet the crime. Exactly. That's exactly what I was about to get to. It's Orwellian. Okay. Now, while it's before, when somebody like gave a protestation or a contestation, or like, well, this is hypocrisy and this is why it's hypocrisy. Here's your article, or this is your statement. This is something that you've said, and here it is. And whilst before, that article was left there. Now it's like when somebody brings something up, because nothing's precious anymore, and it's like they'll completely totally change, and they're changing history books about this Yasuke guy. I mean, frickin' Smithsonian put out something about him being a black samurai. And you know how shady the Smithsonian is. And like National Geographic did something, and National Geographic, used to be like, you used to have some kind of legitimacy, but they were taken over like a few years ago, and now they've become a mouthpiece. And it's just like, a second. We all thought Orwell was just a good story, but no, it's a documented prediction and blueprint of our own destruction. Absolutely. But bottom line, though, that what is really intriguing me about this is watching it real time. Hold on a second. The Wikipedia entry on Yasuke was edited as soon as Mark Pern pointed out it's correctly explained his actual history. It's all very 1984. It's a constant, never-ending present, right? We just wait until they change Scottish history. I can't wait for the next Braveheart. Yeah. Well, Braveheart is not accurate, okay? There is not accurate in any way, shape, or form, okay? I'll say that now. But what is really, really interesting, though, is every once in a while, the curtain comes back and you see the little man pulling the switches. Every once in a while, Toto pulls the curtain back and there's the guy. And on this particular thing, it's become pretty obvious that, well, holy crap, they're changing things. They're altering things. There's somebody behind the scenes pulling the strings, and it all seems coordinated. And it's like, why is this so coordinated? And there's only two possibilities. And one of them is that there's a centralized entity that's controlling everything. And that's put on the tinfoil hats, okay, if that's happening. But I think it's something else entirely. And hold on a second. The new Braveheart movie would be a black Scottish drug dealer fighting back against evil white police officers intent on arresting him. Right. Braveheart was a lesbian. No. Anyway, back to the topic. But I think the only way that you can explain the widespread collaboration is the ideology, is a religious ideology. A second, I'm not going to say what they want me to say. Right. Well, so it's just basically they all belong to the same church, and they all worship the same God. And because of that, when one of their fellow parishioners says, "Hey, this is the current narrative that we need to happen. Do you mind altering your stuff?" And they'll be like, "Oh, absolutely! To bow down to my, to worship my God, I will change this. Absolutely, no problem." And so I don't think it's essential. It doesn't have to be a centralized organization doing this. Now, I mean, there's other things that where you see a centralized organization, and religion of the woke, right? Absolutely religious ideology, Executive Order 69. Yep, 66, right? Yeah, you meant 69, but you got me say it. It's a new religion, right? Well, yep, 69 was better, right? But the bottom line though is it doesn't have to be one entity at the helm here. For all this to be coordinated across platforms like this, all it needs is like one of my fellow parishioners is asking for my help, and I'm to worship my God and to follow the edicts of my faith. I'm going to make this alteration, and and but what the Assassin's Creed, the really interesting thing about it is the bad guys in Assassin's Creed are the Templar. The Templar are representative of the religious a religious organization of the day, and so they're talking about this guy is fighting against oppression in Japan. The only thing were oppressing people in Japan were the Japanese feudal lords. And so so basically they're taking something from the next century, 100 years later, which was an uprising of Japanese Catholics, which was beat down. And they're pulling that back 100 years to this era. And they're taking this guy who may or may not have been a samurai, probably not a samurai, making him a samurai and having him fight this battle, which basically was a one-sided fight because the Japanese basically like slaughtered the Catholics in Japan. So it's called an uprising, but it really wasn't an uprising. It was the Japanese uprising and slaughtering all the Catholics. Okay. But that happened like a decade later, but they're going to bring that back to Yasuke's era, and they're going to make him a samurai, and they're going to like have him fight the Templar, which did not exist in Japan. Basically fight against the Christianity in Japan, and they're doing all this under the umbrella of this is accurate. This is historically accurate. So okay, the time period's going to be wrong, the lead character is going to be wrong, and the role of the lead character is going to be wrong, and yet it's historically accurate. Shut up, bigots. It's historically accurate. And everybody's like coordinating on this. So, okay, hold on a second. Both the Church of the Woke and Religious Islam have something we don't. They stick together no matter what. That's our weakness, and they know it. Collusion, maybe. WEF has minions everywhere. Thank God they worship blends with S and N's and Aten. Yeah. There's no way a foreigner would ever be allowed to be samurai. Exactly. Okay. Now, the interesting thing about how do we have a chance? Do we have a chance? Everybody's a part of that same religion, and they can seem to control everything. But do we have a chance? Well, all throughout history, there has been moments where the powers that be have attempted to destroy the truth, and have attempted to basically end all, end all of dissenting voices. And without fail, what has happened in history is this historical record, all the way going back all the way to the creation of Christianity, is it's caused the truth to spread further and caused the truth to spread wider, and it's caused it to resonate even more. I'd rather die on my feet than serve on my knees. Yes, brother. Agreed. Yeah, we shall rise again. Right? Well, the nature of truth is that truth is truth. Truth is a independent entity. It exists outside of reality. It is reality. It exists outside of terminology. It exists outside of ideology. It exists outside of interpretation. Truth is truth. What is true now is going to be true years from now, and it's always going to be the truth is the truth. And so the only way you can eliminate the truth is by eliminating people's knowledge of it. And the cat's out of the bag with a lot of this. The fact that people are talking about it shows that people know that this is garbage. And ultimately, this game's going to fail. No matter how much they change articles, no matter how much they change like narratives, no matter how much they tell you that the sky is green and that there are 5 lights, no matter how much they try to say the emperor's, beautifully dressed, we all know the emperor has no clothes. And they're losing control of the narrative. Exactly. Right. And when Doctor Who tried to pull the same shenanigans that they pulled back in 2013, 2016, 2018, back in their glory days, at the height of all this. But when they did that, it backfired. And what they're doing right now, what Ubisoft is trying to do, is backfiring. What Disney's trying to do is backfiring. Now, if it wasn't backfiring, if there wasn't like another force at work here, then Disney would still be making billion-dollar movies. And we would not have a conversation about Ubisoft coming out with this game. Everybody be like, oh, okay. And Doctor Who would be like the number 1 rated show and across the world, and it's only 5 or 6, and that's in the BBC. It's fifth and sixth, and the first 2 episodes are 5th and 6th, and in the BBC, which is a small channel in the rest of the world. And it's even a small channel in England. I don't think hardly anybody watches the BBC. They have to pay for it, but I don't think a lot of people watch it. And so basically, the fact that we are talking about this, the fact that we are pushing back against the narrative, means that the truth hasn't been suppressed. Means that they haven't succeeded. What that means is the fact that there's an alternative idea out there, the fact that people are talking about another idea, is the fact that the truth is still preeminent. A second. Japan kicked out the Spanish and English at the beginning of the Tokugawa reign, but the Dutch were allowed to stay for a little longer since they were not evangelizing the Japanese. Yep. From a source trusted, Doctor Who only managed 78K viewers before they added the 1-player figures, which of course the BBC control. Yep. in the UK. We're talking about somebody at their height that had, I think it was 9 million at their height. And at the end of the Jody era, had like there was down to 3 million, according to their numbers. And now they're down to 78K. Wow. Okay. All that means. And this is to give you hope. This is to give you hope. Yes, they control all this stuff. Yes, they control this. They control that. And yes, all the people who are, part of the woke mind virus, we call it, or the religion. I call it the religion of woke. Yes, they infest all of like the upper echelons of these companies, all across our media. They just infest everything, and now they're not even happy with suppressing information. Now they're changing it, actively changing it. But the bottom line is the truth is the truth, and as long as people pursue the truth, as long as people refuse to speak the lie, because lies do not stand up to truth. That's the misunderstanding people seem to have. Truth is inevitable. As long as the truth is spoken by somebody, it will spread like a wildfire. It will be everywhere. Eventually, it will be everywhere. And people, every time they hear the truth, they know it, because the truth has its own energy. The truth has its own primacy. The truth exists outside a narrative. It's the truth is reality. And so all these people who are like getting fed this terminology, or getting fed this, propaganda, which is what it is. When they hear something true, they know it, because truth has its own energy. And yes, when people are like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Those people exist. They're part of that religion, and religious fervor won't allow you to hear an opposing point of view. But the thing about it is you cannot exist with that much cognitive dissonance forever. You can't. That's why they're going crazy. That's why they're mutilating themselves. That's why they're dyeing their hair and septum piercings and piercing here and piercing there and tattoos all over their bodies. They're self-mutilating because the cognitive dissonance is so ingrained in them right at this point, and they're fighting back against it by abusing themselves. That's why they go so freak with it, right? That's why they all have eating disorders, They're either like underweight or overweight. If you ever see a group of them, it's like you either got ones that are way too fat or ones that are way too thin. It's because the cognitive dissonance is destroying their minds. And eventually, and I've seen this happen over and over again, you see somebody that they take that black pill, or they take the red pill, and they get outside the matrix. And then suddenly you next time you see them, they have a natural hair color. The piercings are gone. They still got their tattoos, but they got them covered up. And they're speaking like intelligent people all of a sudden. While before they're like, yes, queen slay, all this other stuff. They're not talking in memes anymore. They're talking like full sentences. And this happens every time that somebody comes out of this. We're winning and they know it. This means the likely to be Assassin's Creed's first flop. They keep hiring bad storytellers and greenlighting bad stories. The stink of commercial failure is becoming too strong to ignore. You can smell the desperation. Yes, you can. Amen. Hence my channel's tagline: "The truth sounds like hate to those who hate the truth." Yes, indeed, Gabi. Well, what people don't want to talk about and what people don't say is that the truth is always going to come out. The truth is not dependent on you. It's not dependent on me. The truth is the truth. It's its own entity, okay? It exists outside of all this stuff that they're throwing at us. The truth is reality. And people know the reality when they hear it, because we are built to live in reality. We are built to know what the truth is. It's built into us. It's built into our minds, right? I mean, that's the thing. If anybody has ever dealt with somebody who we've all fallen for somebody who's been a liar, right? We've all fallen for people who are con artists. We've all fallen for people who basically live off of deception. It's happened to every one of us, right? But what happens when people start understanding that this person is a person of deception? They lose all their power overnight. Because as long as people know the deception exists, then it's like Ubisoft, right? You know, they at one point upon a time they had the fan base, they had the people's trust, and and because of that they had sales, but they have thrown that away with this. If they had said, okay, we hear you, we'll make an alteration, but they didn't do that. What did they do? They hid the fact that the lead character was the one black man in Japan at this time, all the way up till it came out. They hid it because they knew this was going to happen. They knew it. And now that it's happening, what are they doing? Well, what are they doing? They're like, okay, we'll take it back into production and we'll make some changes. We'll change the narrative or whatever. We'll make him like a secondary character and make this person the primary character. But no, they're not doing that. They're asking their fellow congregates, their fellow believers in the religion, to alter stuff, to gaslight people. Because all this is this presumption that there's a group of people out here that are still sheep. And yeah, there's definitely some proof to back that up, that there are people out here still gullible, that still believe that the nightly news is telling them actual news. There are some people out there. They are. But that number is dwindling, man. It's got to dwindle. And because people can't not, live off of lies forever. They can't. Hold on a second. I'm saying that the truth is out there. Yes. Now, I'm not saying the truth is out there. I'm saying the truth is out here. It's here. The truth is here. Anyway, the light will always shine through, right? Look at me, atheist for 30 odd years now. The light of the Lord has found its way into me. Yep. Absolutely. Loyalty, trust, and respect take years to build, seconds to shatter, rebuilding's twice as hard, right? And say, once loyalty, trust, and respect is lost, it never comes back. No, it doesn't. But it's like RTD. Russell T. Davis. I kind of knew what was going to happen because I knew what he was doing before Doctor Who. And when he got to Doctor Who, I knew that there was an oversight that wouldn't let him go as far as he wanted to go. But he still pushed the envelope the best he could. But I knew that when he came back, that oversight was not going to be there, and I knew what was going to happen. But people actually trusted RTD and trusted David Tennant, and they hoped that this stories would be something different, or that they would be returned to form. And what did he do? RTD, the first thing he did was rubber stamp everything that came before and cement it and say, this is what it is now. And what happened was people were like, oh, okay, so I guess you're not that guy. Turn it off. And so I was warning people over and over about RTD and Shooty, and it got a lot of crap over it. I'm sure you did. But queer ass folk, that was RTD. Okay? Doctor Who was the exception to his whole entire writing career. Okay? But that being said, but if you see what's happening now is they're trying to tell you that you're wrong. This was Doctor Who all along. That you're wrong because you remember that because you have a different memory, that your memory's wrong, your sense of history is wrong, that all those years and years that you spent hiding under the couch, hiding from the dialects under the couch, that's all in your head. This is what it really is, and this is what you have to accept, right? And then Ubisoft is like, hey, there's a black samurai, even though all the culture that we know of feudal Japan was that it was a very insular society, a very racist society, and that outsiders weren't allowed to the upper echelon of their power structure. But ignore that, and this one guy that's like an exception in the history books. He was a samurai. Okay, ignore that. And not only that, but he's our main character. And not only that, he's fighting against the church that didn't even have an uprising till over 100 years later. But it's accurate. Okay, this is historical accuracy here because we changed all these documents. And look here, Wikipedia. Look at Wikipedia. This is the reality. But it's not going to work. Okay? So, do we have a chance? Not only do we have a chance, but we're inevitable. That's what I'm saying. We're inevitable. RTD is a snake. Yep. Sadly, there's still many of us old fans who will fight. Sadly, there are still too many of us fight back. Yep. They hate us. Absolutely do. Oh, my brain is wrong. My bad. I guess I watched Doctor Who. They actually made it obvious. They were told to go touch grass. We did, and now you're just getting 78K overnight. Yeah, you said if Yasuke was so pivotal, how come we never heard much about him before? Yeah, how's he a footnote if he was that big of a deal? Exactly. Yeah, I thought it was hilarious. They told Shooty was like, "You need to go touch grass," and then when the numbers were low, they said it was too sunny in England and too many people went outside instead of watching Doctor Who. So in other words, Shooty, they went and touched grass. They went and touched grass, man. You told them to touch grass. They went and touched grass. You can't be satisfied, can you? Anyway, so I hear a lot of people on the edge of despair, and I felt it. I feel it. I see yet another IP that I loved, that was beloved to me, get basically used as toilet paper for some future barista in Portland. It gets frustrating. It gets disappointing, and it makes you sad. It makes you feel like you've lost something, and we've lost so much. We have lost so much. Oh, a second. Even though when it opened here, it was midnight when the sun wasn't out. Exactly. But it's so easy to be convinced sometimes that you're by yourself, or that, and they keep wanting us to believe that we're not the majority. And they keep wanting us to believe. It's like the elephant when it's a small calf gets the spike driven into the ground, and tethered to this little spike. And as it grows up into an adult, it thinks that it's still spiked to the ground, and so it doesn't move when that spike's in the ground, because when it was a calf, it couldn't move that spike, and so as an adult, it just assumes it's still stuck. And that's the trick that they use to hold these big giant elephants in place in the circus. But every once in a while, one of those big gigantic MFers would move, and the spike would come off, and they'd realize, I'm not held here. I can go where I want. I can do what I want. And what do? They leveled the place. Okay? The spike that's holding us in the ground, that's telling us that we're not the majority, that we can't win. You know, we need to pull that sucker out. It's not the truth. The truth is we are in a majority and we don't have to deal with this stuff. We don't have to watch it. We don't have to support it. And we can make our own stuff. Because we are the people that made it originally. You know, it's always been nerds and creatives that made this stuff to start with. And all the corporations just continued it to keep their profit margins. But we can do it again. We did it before. We can do it again. The truth will win out. It always has. It always will. So anyway, in case you're wondering, MFers, I gotta go. Keep the faith. You're not on your own. We are the mainstream of views. Love to you all. I'll see you, Gobby. See you, man. And yep, nerds, right? So anyway, if you don't take anything from today but that, take it from it. Truth is inevitable. As long as somebody speaks it, it still exists. As long as there's an ear to hear it and a person to speak it, the truth is going to win. It always is going to win. Why do you think Christianity is still alive? Why is it still relevant? And all these religions have gone by the wayside. Why is Christianity still here? Something to it. There's something to it. Anyway. So that's all I got for today. Thank you to my very active chat. Seems like I got the whole Wookiee Fever crew in here today, helping me out. Appreciate it, guys. Do a great Saturday show with those guys. They're top-notch individuals. Love every one of them. You know, even Wookiee, I occasionally, I'm all right with the fur ball. Anyway, you know, he's all right. He's all right. But I just want you guys to stop living defeated. Stop worrying about it. We're gonna win. We just are. Anyway, thank you. Love you too, Frost. See you soon, man. But thank you to the fluffiest chat in all of YouTube. And thank you for everybody that came and watched today. And everybody's going to watch this on replay. If you like the content, you like the message, like and subscribe. I will see you soon with some short contents I've got planned coming up. And I've got a couple more shows that are going to be posted and during the course of the week. And we'll see you then. Remember, follow the white rabbit. Bye, everybody.